Today, we're going to talk about what is holding you back from success. What's preventing you from launching and growing a successful freight brokerage or freight agency? We're going to talk about that on the front end. And then I'm going to give you 4 tips, 4 strategies on how to overcome those obstacles, right? So listen, let's dive into this, guys. Let's just dive in. Let's peel off the Band-Aid, okay? Because some of this is maybe a little hard for you guys to hear, but I need to give you a little bit of a dose of reality, because being an entrepreneur is not always easy. It's just not. And people that want to be an entrepreneur, want to own their own business, or have any significant goal in life, there's always excuses, right? There's always things we blame. And so you may have said to yourself, you may have heard other people say to yourself, oh, I just don't have the time. I just don't have the time. Time is such a big issue. I don't have the time. I've got family and I've got hobbies and I've got a job and I've got all these things. And time is that big issue that you point to, the reason why what's holding you back. And some people will say, well, I don't have the money, right? I don't have enough money to become a freight broker or a freight agent. I just don't have enough money because I have bills and my mortgage and my car payment and in my Starbucks coffee, right? I don't have the money. So sometimes that becomes the excuse that's holding you back, right? Sometimes it's knowledge. You're here today to gain some knowledge. So I respect that. Kudos to you. But sometimes you think that you need to know everything before you get started. And so knowledge is sometimes holding you back. You use knowledge as a crutch to say, well, maybe if I just know a little bit more, I'll get started, I'll launch, right? Sometimes it's competition. You say to yourself, oh my gosh, there's so much competition. I want to do this niche and there's so much competition and I don't think I can do it. And so it's the competition, right? There's already a lot of freight brokers out there. There's a lot of freight agents out there. Sometimes you'll use that as your crutch. And then sometimes it's even your spouse or your loved ones, right? Sometimes it's your family. Sometimes it's the people around you that you'll blame them because they're holding you back and they're not supporting you and they're not doing the things they need to do to help you get there. Those are common excuses and reasons that you and many others have used that are holding you back. Those are the reasons that you're giving why you haven't built a successful freight brokerage or freight agency or whatever goal it is you're going after. Okay, this applies across the board, right? We just happen to be talking about freight broker and freight agency today. So what I want you to understand is that all 5 of those things are wrong. Those are not the issues that are holding you back. Do you want to know what's holding you back? It's really simple, and it's a 4-letter word, but it's not a bad word. It's not a cuss word. Unfortunately, I cuss from time to time, but not today. And the word is fear. Okay, it's fear. And so fear is what holds most people back. And it comes in a bunch of different formats, a bunch of different colors and shapes and styles. Let me give you some examples. Fear of failure. You're afraid to fail. It's common. It happens all the time. The fear of failure holds lots of people back. Fear of the unknown. What if? What might happen? Fear of the unknown is another big one. Fear of what people might think. Wow, this is a huge one. Believe it or not, you're more concerned what your loved ones and neighbors and friends might think than you are of achieving your goals. That happens all the time. Fear of success. Yep, you heard me. It's the fear of, are you worthy enough? Are you worthy to be successful? And fear of rejection. I mean, these are just a few. Fear of rejection. Some people just can't handle rejection, right? They can't handle rejection from anybody. Particularly, they can't handle rejection from a potential prospect or from a carrier or for someone in business, right? So those are some examples of fear that is actually holding you back. Now, do you know what fear stands for? I was taught in the acronym that I use, FEAR, fake evidence appearing real. Okay. Remember that. Fake evidence appearing real. FEAR. And I love that definition because there's, fear has benefits, right? Fear can be good. Believe it or not, fear can be good. It keeps us alive, right? It keeps us out of danger, right? So when you're standing on top of the Empire State Building and you look down, everybody's afraid of heights almost because it's a long way down. And if I fall, or if this metal, breaks and I fall over the edge, or a gust of wind or hurricane or earthquake or whatever, all of a sudden I may fall off the building and die. So your fear, that fear is real, okay? But fear of rejection, fear of what other people might say, fear of a little bit of failure, those things, that's what I consider to be fake evidence appearing real. Now, sometimes it can be very real in your mind, but the reality is, again, fear can be useful. Don't get me wrong. I remember a perfect example. Several years ago, I went skydiving. Yep. I decided to jump out of a perfectly good plane, right? While it was flying. And I went skydiving, and I remember being on the ground with the instructor, and it wasn't really scary, right? We stood out on the wing and we jumped off the wing while the plane was on the ground. No big deal. And then as the time went on and I realized that I was going to be getting in the plane, and it was this little teeny plane, right? I mean, there's only room for like 3 or 4 people in the plane. This little dinky plane, smallest plane I've ever been in, right? And so I get in as the time comes up where we're about to get into this plane, the fear started to well up. I started thinking about, oh my God, what if the plane crashes? I've got kids and I've got a family and I've got a business and I've got people counting on me. And then I said, well, what if the parachute doesn't open? And what's going to happen then? Will the backup parachute open? And what if that doesn't open? And so all this fear was going on in my mind. And what I realized is that that's designed to keep me alive. And I understand that. But I did it anyway. And went up in the plane, jumped out of the plane at 10,000 feet or something. Skydived for, less than a minute because you're going really fast. Hit the ripcord, drifted down very slowly, landed on the ground, perfect landing, and everything was great. Nobody got injured, nobody got hurt, everything was great. So in that case, it became fake evidence appearing real. And so what I want to give you guys today is I want to give you a few tools. I want to give you 4 strategies that will help you to overcome your fear of success, overcome your fear, whatever that fear is that's holding you back, right? As an entrepreneur, as a freight broker, as a freight agency, right? So here we go, guys. I'm going to give you 4 tactics. I'm going to give you 4 strategies on how you can overcome this fear, right? So here we go. Number 1, these are in no discernible order. This just happens to be a really freaking important one, okay? You need to redefine and rethink what you consider failure, right? So we need to rethink this whole concept, fear of failure, because that's a big fear that most of you have. You need to redefine this concept of failure. See, what you have to understand is that success and failure are not opposite ends of the spectrum, meaning they're not either or. You succeed or you fail. That's not true. Okay, so you have to get that out of your head. What you have to understand is that success is over here, and it's your goal, and it's what you're striving for every day. The only way to get to success is to go through failure. So it's a continuance and enduring of failure. So it's failure, 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 success. So failure is kind of like the hazing that you have to go through in order to be successful. So it's the steps, it's the milestones, it's the journey that you have to go through. And all success is on the other side of fear. So you have to go through the fear in order to hit success. That's a fact. You have to go through failure to hit success. So I have failed so many times, it would be impossible to count. Now, when I say failure, I mean small failures and even large failures, multi-million-dollar failures, right? So I've had a lot of small failures and even some really big failures. And so you have to understand and learn how to redefine failure, because success and failure are not opposite sides of the spectrum. In order for you to be successful, you have to go through failure and get to the other side in order to be successful. So that's the mindset you have to take. You have to know 100%, and you have to be comfortable 100% with the fact that you are going to have failure along the way. You're going to make sales calls and they're going to fail. You're going to get rejection, right? There's certain goals you're going to set, you're going to fail. It happens. You're going to put a plan in place and it's going to fail. That's all part of the process, right? So failing is a really critical and important part of the process. It's how we learn. It's how we hone our skills. It's how we get better at our craft, by failing. You learn nothing by winning. You learn nothing by winning. You learn everything by losing. Okay, so that's important. That's number one. You need to redefine how you think about failure, right? All right, it's enough about that. Hey, if you enjoyed this video and you're curious about becoming a freight broker or freight agent, make sure you check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com. Again, that's freightbrokerbootcamp.com. It's the most cost-effective and comprehensive online freight broker and freight agent training available today.